This is Sabrine, and you are listening or watching the Lemon Narrative podcast with Sabrine. Today, I have an amazing guest who will be answering the question: what would you tell me if I am telling you I am writing a feature film about you? I'm a writer and I'm interested in the human experiences and each person narrative, and I want people to tell their narrative themselves. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. Here you go, Christina.
Hi, I'm Christina. I usually don't want to tell that I'm a mother of three first, but I am. It seems like that is the biggest role that I have right now because raising children comes with a huge responsibility. You can fail in business, but you shouldn't be failing raising children. So that's who I am, a mother of three. I also own my little business, which is a marketing brand strategist. I'm working as a
Mhm,
strategist, and
mhm.
I'm friends with a lot of people, very
Okay.
selected people that are in the circle, and I'm in the same
Yeah.
community as you are.
Yes, we met in Sun's Community Night Owls, and Christina shared such an amazing story. I commented in it. She reached out, and we started talking, and we decided to take this talk with you guys. Okay. So, why don't you want to start with saying you're a mother of three? The first question.
I usually don't because I had this narrative of that we are as a person who we are. Like, what is our
Mm,
aspiration? What is our calling? What is our defining role in life? And
mm,
growing up, I didn't want to just be a mom. I wanted to be me. I wanted to make a mark in the universe, in the world as me. And
mm,
then I started realizing, hey, what will be the biggest impact I can make? Not as a
mm,
professional or a career driven person
mm,
or somebody that serves clients for them to brand themselves better, but
mm,
I am impacting the life of three humans. And like I said
mm,
earlier, I don't think there is a bigger responsibility than that. So,
because
although I fought my entire life saying, hey, I'm a mother of three as my first line of introduction, now I'm embracing it. I'm embracing it
yeah,
and I'm loving it. And I
you're
use
owning
it
it.
even when I go to networking events, even when I go for business events, I say, hey, I'm a mother of three. This is the biggest role. And I think that sets the precedent of where my boundaries are too,
Mm,
because my
mm,
kids, my children will be the foremost of everything I take as a priority. And people
mm.
should know that before they are in an interaction with me.
Oh, I love this. I love this that you're a mother having and letting not just for yourself, not just you knowing they're your number one. You're
Hmm.
making sure everyone who knows you, the first moment they know you, they know you are they are your number one. I love this. Usually this is not the question I asked the first, but it's just like it had me that you said I usually don't do that, and I love what you said. Where are you based, by the way, right now?
So I'm in Canada, in
Oh, me too.
Edmonton, in the province of Alberta. So it's the second province from the west. So I'm not in the middle, but a little towards the west of Canada. I
Okay.
am Korean by
You
descendancy, but I grew up in South America. My parents were missionaries. They went into late 20s to South America, Paraguay, and I grew
mm,
up there. So my first language is Spanish. And then my
okay.
mother tongue, the language my mom spoke to me and taught me, is Korean.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful language. I'm trying to. My mother tongue is Arabic, but I also was born in Moscow and I started speaking Russian, but then I forgot because no one is spoken to me.
Yeah.
And then I start like speaking Arabic, and that's not now my mother tongue plus English. I'm trying to learn Korean now, which is a huge different experience because of how the letters and I know the letters now. That's my win.
Okay, so why are you learning Korean? What is the motivation?
The motivation, I don't. Okay, it's a silly and cliche one. My friends were pushing me to watch K drama, right? And I was like, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I know my life is going to be involved about K-dramas. I don't want to do it. It's actually by accident one day. I was just, not feeling well mentally, and I watched every show I want to watch, every rom-com, everything to get me out. So I watched this K-drama. It was very light, and then I loved the language, right? And I love languages. I was already learning Turkish, and now I'm learning Korean. So and I've heard that learning two languages together is better. So
Yeah.
right now I'm learning these two together. I'm on a break because I have hectic time at work now, but this is what I'm doing. Like, I've learned how to write the letters, and some letters are more challenging than others, but I hope one day I'll be good at it. It's
Yeah,
just,
Korean is not a difficult language to
it's not.
learn to write and read. And I think
Yeah.
if you can know the
Yeah.
letters, it's you're at a good start.
Good, good. You gave me some like motivation. Okay, let's get back to you. My first question is, um, if this is your film, what would you imagine the opening scene of a movie about you? How would you start?
Mm.
Like, think of a film you've watched,
Me,
and yes,
me receiving things.
receiving things. Like what?
Receiving everything I gave for the
Mm,
last decade, 2 decades,
mm,
3 decades.
mm,
I want karma to give it back to me. I want to
mm,
receive. I want to be in the other end of receiving. So if you were
mm.
to make a movie, I want to be the first scene will be that, like me receiving things. Like, please give me back everything I put out there. It's my turn now.
I love this. I always ask myself, when is my turn to get this and that? We get impatient sometimes,
I don't think
but I
it's
think we do
impatient.
deserve it.
Yes,
You think you deserve it at this point?
I think
Yes.
so.
Mm,
I don't know if it's the culture or the raising. I grew up
mm,
with always giving. Like
mm,
giving was the best way of receiving. Giving makes you happy. You should
mm,
give to receive. And finding reciprocity was not something I was expecting. I always gave. Like I gave love, I gave kindness, I gave help, I gave patience,
mm,
compassion. And I'm in a point in my life that I'm thinking,
mm,
when am I going to get all this back? Like, I want to receive it too. Like, can somebody love me back? Can somebody be kind enough to me? Can somebody be as
mm,
compassionate as I
mm,
was?
mm. I feel this. I feel this because one time, I was talking to friends and I said, why are we asked to give help to our friends and not expect things back? Why are we asked to why are we asked not to expect things back? Why are we told this? Isn't life about giving and receiving? Why am I asked and I think this comes from, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I am the oldest in my family. I am a daughter. You too. Okay, I feel like we have the same life. And again, I don't want to cliche anything, but I've watched the K drama I watched so far as a newbie. K drama. One of the ones I watched is a girl actually leaving her house because her little brother, she was paying all the bills, decided, that he will marry his girlfriend. So the father was like, he's the one who got married first. He takes the house, even though she was the one who's paying
All the
what we
bills?
call like all the bills and mortgage payments. But he ended up taking the house, right? Even and she was expected not to even fight back, right? Even though this was not I mean, this was started the plot, but in my head, I was like, why isn't she fighting this back, or like why is she expected to do that?
Because
Like,
there's a pressure. When you're the firstborn, you're supposed to give. You're supposed to set the example and be the precedent for your younger offsprings. Like, let me tell you a story about how that pressure was surreal for me. So my sister, my younger sister, it's just the two girls in our family. My sister was 2 years, not even 2 years, like a year and a little bit more younger than me, but she was two
Mm.
grades below me.
Yes.
During the elementary school, I was an A student.
Mm.
But from grade three, ever since she became grade one, ever since
Mm.
she entered the same school as me, I didn't have recess
Mm.
because I was an A student, but my sister was not an A student. She was not even a student. She didn't want to do homework. She didn't want to
Mm.
study. She didn't want to have anything to do school but go out and play with her friends. So
Mm.
for the entirety of the 4 years we were in the same elementary school, I didn't have
Mm.
recess and lunch break. Why? Because I had
Mm.
to go to her classroom and take notes for her during recess and during
Mm.
lunch and go to
Because
talk
you
to
were
her
asked to do that.
teacher. Hey, can you please not erase the blackboard so I can come and take notes for my sister?
Mm.
That was my responsibility. And when my little sister didn't get a passing grade, not even an A. I was expected to get A's. She just had to pass her grade. Or if she ever got in trouble for
Mm.
not doing her homework or not being able to pass, I was in trouble because I
Mm.
didn't teach her. I didn't help her. I
Mm.
didn't do things for her. So whenever she
Mm.
was in trouble, I was in trouble, the double. And it was not my responsibility. But I couldn't fight back. I didn't know I had the right to fight back. To
You
say,
didn't
hey,
even know it was not your responsibility.
I had no recess. I don't know what recess is.
Yeah, you didn't know. And I recently came across this myself, that I didn't know the things I did were not my responsibility. I was not supposed to do them. I was supposed to be a normal kid for you, just doing your things at school. And if your sister is not doing what she's doing, your parents, I'm just gonna say that, are supposed to hold her accountable.
Yeah,
That's not your job. You
no.
didn't. And I said this to my father one day when he blamed me. He said you ruined. He said you spoiled your sister, and I said I did not give birth to my sister to spoil her.
Oh, good for
And I
you.
was a kid raising a kid,
As a kid.
right? As a kid, how would a kid know how to raise another child? Just because they're like you and I feel like it's the same. We grew up knowing what to do because we were not held accountable. It's simply we were told that you need to know what to do.
Yeah.
So no one did it for you, so you figured it out yourself. And I always tell my siblings, I wish I had an older sister to tell
Oh,
me what to do. You know what? I had to go through everything the first time myself and make mistakes and go over and over. So if you want to listen to me, listen. If you don't, you're wasting your time and I don't care.
yeah.
I just know what's gonna happen, you know? But you weren't given the privilege of choice or the privilege of being raised, right? You were just pushed into this life, and then there's another version that you are supposed to show things that you don't even know because you don't have
Yeah.
the full picture.
Oh, you know
You
what?
didn't
That
have.
hit home. Like when you said, I also wish I had a sister. It's
Mm,
making me tear up because, yeah, that's how I felt. Oh, that's how I felt. I said,
mm.
oh, lucky you. I wish I had a sister like that.
Yeah, I wish I had someone to go back to, and I think this is, I don't, in my opinion, I think it was my mother's job, but in
But I
my
couldn't
case,
go
I
to
was
my mom.
no, no. Even a
Go because
simple question is like, why don't you know this? And I'm like, how am I supposed to know it? No, and I remember, gosh, I'm gonna tear up too. I remember I did a meditation. It's called Inner Child.
oh my
I don't know.
God.
Did you do it?
Don't get me started. I feel so bad for my inner child. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I went back and I told her, it's not your fault. It's okay.
Mhm.
I just felt like patting her shoulder because no one did, you know? And I know wishing is not gonna bring things back. I know that, but the life of an oldest sister in for somehow I feel like this is one of the reason I want to learn the language is I want to know, I want to read, because as much as I love and as much as I love the drama and very good written stuff, right? I
Mm-hmm.
want to read more. I want to know the culture. I want to travel. I want to
Mm-hmm.
like watch, talk shows
Yeah,
and people actually, that's and I love cultures, but something I keep saying is that we are different, yes, but we are the same.
we are. Yeah. As you
We are the
listen to
same.
people's story, you realize how connected we are and how, yeah, how we are the same. We're so identical into the traumas. Like humanity follows a pattern,
Mm,
right? No
yes, it
matter
does.
what culture, what story, we all follow this pattern of parents mixing up with their children and, inheriting trauma that we want to
It,
fight.
generational trauma, yeah.
We want, yeah,
And
generational
you want to
trauma.
break it, right?
You want to
And when
break
you
it.
come to break it, and this is something you said, and you are labeled the rebellious one who is just wants to be different and wants to speak in my case uncultured, or what's the other word, not did not get to be raised well, right? But all you are doing is that you see the pattern and you're standing against it, and everyone around you wants you to follow it, right? And this is something you said, and I want to touch on that. You said in elementary school this happened to you. When did you realize, like, did it follow like that all your life and it just recently come to you?
No, I, there was one grade that when my sister was in grade 4, she
Mm,
flunked her grade 4. So in South
mm,
America, you finish your year in November. So you get December, January, and February as a
mm,
vacation. It's a summer
mm,
vacation. And then you go back to school in March. Well, when you flunk your grade and you finish in November and you don't pass your exam, you're given a chance to rewrite your finals in February. If you don't
okay.
pass February, you're held back a grade. So when my
Mm,
sister was in grade 4, she flunked her grade,
mm,
so she didn't pass. My
mm,
mom told me, "Hey, your sister didn't pass her grade. Your responsibility this summer is to help her go through her February exam."
mm.
I wanted to, I was in grade
What?
6. I was
Yeah.
finishing elementary school. It was going to be my last summer with my friends.
Mm,
I wanted to go swimming with them, finish my
mm,
swimming coaching certification. I wanted to go out with my friends. I wanted to, I don't know, meet my future crush. Like, I wanted to do something. When you're finishing grade 6, is huge. Well, I
mm.
didn't. I couldn't.
Yeah, yeah, because you had to take care of her.
And then my friends were saying, "Hey, let's go to Brazil. Let's go to the beach. Let's go for our elementary final elementary trip." And I was like, "No, I can't. I have to help my sister through this." And my best friend, she was the youngest in her sibling
Mm,
group. She's like,
mm,
"Why is that your responsibility?" She says. And
mm.
I go, "Because she's my sister." And she
Yeah.
says, "My brothers don't take care of me like that." She had 2 older brothers. And I
Mm,
said, "Your brothers don't?" And I said, "Well,
mm,
maybe because you're a good student." And she says, "My brothers are not given the responsibility of being my dads the way you have. You're the
mm,
teacher and the mom of your
mm.
sister. And you're only a year older than her."
Yeah, you're not that old.
And I'm like,
You had a moment of epiphany, or like a light bulb in your head.
yeah. And I said, why is this my job? Why isn't my mom doing it? And I told my mom, and my mom said, "Well, I don't speak the language." And this is very traditional for immigrant parents, right? My mom didn't speak Spanish.
Mm,
And I asked her, "Mom, we came to the country together. Why
mm,
didn't you learn
mm,
Spanish?" And she says, "Well, because I had to work." And you had the privilege of going to school, and your job was to learn Spanish. So you need to pay back helping your sister. My job was to make money so you can go to that school. And it made sense.
It does. It
It
makes
made
sense till now.
it made
It
sense
makes
that
sense. Yeah.
it made sense. And I felt so bad for my mom. Like that she was sacrificing herself for us. It just hit so hard that I took it like my job. I took it upon myself. And I think now as a grown up, that's guilt tripping your child.
Mm,
That's
mm.
abuse.
This is
Not
abuse.
because
Yeah.
you don't have that, you need to guilt trip your child into saying, hey, I'm doing all this for you, so you should pay back this way. Like, I would never do that to my children.
Mm,
And I know now that that is a form of abuse. But that's what my mom did. And I'm sure my mom didn't know any better.
mm.
My mom was a very sacrificing mother, like to the point that I've never seen my mom shopping things for her. It was always for us. It was always
That's
us
how she was
first.
raised too. Let's talk
Yeah,
about generation trauma.
yeah.
It's
So I
she
don't,
was raising you the way she was raised. No.
yeah.
Yeah.
But as you can see, I'm always like making excuses for my mom to understand why she treated me the way she did. And
Mm,
in all honesty, the way she treated me became the reason why I am like I am. Like I
mm,
knew how to do things before any of my friends did, like doing paperwork, dealing
mm.
with immigration, dealing with accountant, dealing with lawyers. As an immigrant child, you are
Yeah.
such an adult at an early age and you have that responsibility on you. And I know my mom gave all that to me. So I appreciate that because I was able
Mm,
to do shit that my friends couldn't. Like I was able to get my own visa to travel of seas and do things. So I appreciate, but that was not something I was supposed to do. She was supposed to go with me to the embassy and get me my first visa. She was supposed to be the one that helps me take my hand, go to the bank and open my first bank account and get my little piggy bank. I did that on my own.
mm, mm. You didn't want to do that. Going back, I think what you have now is grief for the child you were, right?
Yeah. So whenever we have this memory thing, I don't want to be the victim. I don't
Mm,
want to say or sound like my mom abused me, but it's exactly as you say. I didn't have a childhood. I was a mom ever since my sister entered school. And even
mm,
before, when you ride a bicycle, you're supposed to just go on your bicycle. You
mm,
learn to ride your bicycle on your own. I needed to ride my bicycle with my sister behind my back holding my waist.
mm.
I was
True.
unable to go on my bicycle on my own. Like to me, bicycle riding is my sister on my back.
You're always carrying her on your shoulders,
Yeah.
and that was not fair. It wasn't your job, and being an immigrant, not child, adult, and I did all the immigration thing and became the lawyer to the point where I was going to be like, why don't I just become a lawyer? Because
I could have been an
you get
accountant, a lawyer, the
everything,
real estate
everything,
agent.
and I'm like, and you know what annoys me is being taken for granted, um, postponing your priorities to do things that are important to the family when it's not your job, but then no one is like appreciative. It's like, hello, this is what you're supposed to do.
Take it
As you
for
were
granted.
saying, I want to ride the bike alone, but I'm carrying so many people, in your case your sister, and no one is thanking you for that, and it's exhausting your leg, your waist. You can't go as far. And I am not like a believer of, in North American culture, we we live like, or like there's the living of individuality in which a person, move out, do everything alone, blah 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 blah. I do believe, in a work as a team, as a family, But I don't think in a family or any team or even partner's life, one person can do one thing all the time, or take the
No.
the whole package, the whole responsibility, whether it's bills, with what's emotional. It has to be balanced. One day I take it all, uh, the second day you take all, or some days we're 50-50, 30-70, 80-20, whatever, how the days goes, it goes. But the idea of you carrying everything over and over and over and over and expect it to last, it's just it's impossible. It can't happen.
But when
It
you
doesn't
grow
happen.
up like that, and that's a pattern I see. That when you grow up like that, that's all you know.
That's
You think, and
yes.
and I can tell you, like I talked about my divorce and my separation,
Mm,
and it's when it hits you like this that you go, holy smokes!
mm,
I have been overcompensating for this marriage to work. What if I put a stop? What if I only give 100% and
mm,
not 150%? Or not
mm.
180%, and I just let that person take over, and you just see it crumbling because you were overcompensating, because you were doing everything, because that's the only pattern you know. You compensate and you give bend and you give more. You're thinking, I'll give more and this will get better. I will do better and this will get better. You bend over backwards for something that is supposed to be held by two.
And this bending will break you.
And then you go like, I'm tired. You know when you're tired
Exhausted, tired.
about everything because you are constantly pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah, you're burned out.
Yeah. And it's a burnout that never got charged
Mm.
from,
It's
and you don't even
childhood.
know. The problem here is that you don't know that you are burning out because that's all you know.
Mm. Other people might notice around you, like your friend who's the youngest who told you that,
Yeah.
right? And I remember someone telling me, you're not the father or the mother of this family. Um, and I have to be honest, like I wasn't alone holding everything, but someone was helping me. But when someone said that to me, I kid you not, I sat in my room and I cried.
Oh,
I cried for an hour or so because I just discovered this is not what I was supposed to do. It just hit me. And over the years, like, one time, one of the times that I still remember to this day is when we moved to Canada. And I thought that was after decades of me, like, and my parents are separated, by the way. Each has another marriage. So, and I'm the oldest of the marriage that was like,
oh my God.
and that's like even another like story. But when we moved to Canada, I was 21 and I thought I'm an adult. And that's just stupid because I was not. And I was alone here with my sister, right? And she was 17 and I had to attend her parents' meetings, teacher meetings. And I didn't know what to ask. I'm not gonna lie, because just like you, I'm an A student because I was told I have to be an A student, right? I was told I have to do this, and this is what success look like, and I have to follow that pattern. And I was even more pressured. If you watch the first episode, like me and the teaser, I was more pressured by how the community still view divorce as a taboo, and me as someone
Yeah.
who's just going to like break and just lose all their life as a child, like of a divorce, that I'm supposed to get after the divorce. I'm supposed to break down, even like a couple of even someone asked my mom, one of her friends, she said, why are your kids getting good grades after your divorce? You didn't sacrifice anything. You and their father didn't sacrifice anything, but your kids are still doing well. And I'm like, what does she mean? But I realized we were traumatized to do that. That's how we
Mm.
survive. So when I went to the parent teacher meeting here in Canada, and the culture here is different than what I was, because back home I was braced all the time. Oh, look at her, she's taking care of her siblings, she's doing this, she's
Mm-hmm,
doing
mm-hmm.
all of this. Everyone expected me. It went from expectations of me failing to to putting me into this superwoman position who
Yes,
knows
yes,
how
the
to do everything.
pedestal. Yeah.
Yes, it's like you know how to cook, you know how to clean, you know how to do laundry, you know how to get the A's. You went to med school, you do that. So I went from I was not even allowed to make a mistake. You know, it was pressuring me. So when I came here and I went to that teacher meeting, the teacher and I remember sitting there. By the way, I am in my 30s now, and I was 21, and I was like really tiny, and everyone like around me are parents. So the teacher comes out, okay, and I was sitting waiting for my time, and then he skipped me to the parent, uh, like sitting after me, and I thought maybe this is their name first, and I sat in their place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't know he did not understand that I was like a guardian for someone because I was the
Oh, yeah.
guardian,
Yeah, of course.
right?
It's not
And
normal.
then yeah, it is normal. You understand because you are the guardian, right? You were the guardian all your life. So my sister comes, and at that time she's my sister is like almost as tall as me, the same build. You know, we do look, even there's 5 years between us, we do look the same age. So she's like, "Why did you skip my sister? This is my sister. She came for the meeting." Blah blah blah. He looked
Hmm.
at me. He's like, "I thought you're a student."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And then when I went, he just sat there and he said, "Why are you here?" And just remembering this now because I didn't understand back then because it was such a thing that I was doing all
Yeah,
my
you
life.
just think it's normal for you.
It's normal for me to be. I was like, "What do you mean? I'm her guardian." And he's like, "How old are you?" And I was like, "I'm 21." And he said, and I love what he said. He said, "You shouldn't be here. You should be out with your friends. What do you want to know?" You know? And he said, "What do you want to know?" And I didn't know what to say because I didn't know what to, I no one came to my parents, student, teacher, whatever, because
You
I
don't
was
know.
doing
You don't know
good.
what to do. You don't even know what you're there for.
Exactly,
You
but
are
I have to
there
show
because your
up.
mom told you to go.
Okay. So here's my question for you. How did you move on from being the oldest sister and taking care of responsibility of your younger sister, especially after the guilt tripping from your mom when she said, "Speak
Um,
the language," etc.
so there was an incident that actually happened.
Okay,
She was gonna get married. She was gonna get married
your
to
sister,
this guy,
your
my sister.
okay.
She was planning on wedding. She was gonna get married to this guy that she met, and she wanted to marry him, but she didn't know how to tell my mom.
Hmm.
She knew my mom was not gonna approve of anything, so she asked me, "Ma, can you help me?"
Mm,
And so I told her, give me like a few weeks. So for a full 2 weeks, I started like talking to my mom, conditioning her that my sister it will be good if she has a boyfriend. Actually, that I think she has a boyfriend, and condition my mom to receive that news better.
mm,
And then I even told my mom, now that she is so far away on her own, it wouldn't hurt for you encouraging her to actually get married if she's serious about this relationship.
mm,
And my mom said, yeah, that would be a good idea. And so a month went by ever since I told my sister, give me time. I'm going to help you with mom.
mm,
That when my sister kind of mentioned it to my mom, it wasn't as shocking. And my mom was able to take it with a grain of salt. She still didn't like the idea, but I have done my job so well that she was accepting it.
yes.
And so they got married. Actually, my mom couldn't come to the wedding because she was sick. She was very sick. She was going through chemo.
Oh.
So my sister decided that she was going to get married in Vegas. So I helped her. I went to Vegas with her. I helped her pick her dress, wherever that she was gonna get married. I booked the photographer and videographer. I convinced her why she should have a photographer and a videographer. And I stayed in Vegas for 10 days to help her throughout the whole thing. So she got married at the wedding that I prepared and planned for her. And yeah, everything went well. But she never actually said thank you for anything.
Mhm.
Like it was taken for granted, and the entire thing, like she got married and then my mom and dad sent her gifts, and then they said that they were gonna come to the city, to Mexico, not to San Diego, for them to be able to do the reception and everything. And even my sister said, hey, can you help me out with the reception? And I'm like, dude, I'm in Canada.
Mhm.
How am I gonna go? Why do you want me to drop everything for you to go to help you with the reception? And she says, okay, don't worry about it. Mom and dad are gonna be here.
Mhm.
And then I just told her that probably the date that she's choosing for her reception was not gonna work for me. And she says, don't worry about it. Mom and dad are gonna be here. And that made me think, like, what am I to her?
A tool to be used. That's what she has been doing.
And and then the day of the reception, she had, you know, this guy that helped her a lot when she arrived to Mexico, and helped her move to San Diego. And she was able to, in her speech, mention few people that helped her, but she never mentioned me.
Mhm.
And it's not that I want to take credit for this stuff, but everything I have done for her was completely taken for granted. And my then husband, my ex-husband, now my ex-husband, my then husband looked at me and he said, hey, she never mentioned us and everything that we did for her to arrive here, and like the whole thing for her to move from South America to Mexico, from Mexico to San Diego, for her to, get married with this guy. All the stuff we did for her for the last 2 years was never mentioned.
Mhm.
And then is when I thought, I need to cut the cord. I don't want to feel resentful. I don't want to be begging for credit. I don't want to feel like this anymore, like a tool that she can use and dispose. So I don't know how to say no to her. So I'm going to just cut the cord.
Mhm.
So ever since we came home from the reception, I started calling less and less and checking on her less and less. So our everyday call that I made the initiation for the calls and communication to happen, started lessening. And of course, she never calls, like until today. She's never the one that picks up the phone and calls me to check how I am. Never. So I cut that. I cut that to maybe 70% and then half. And now I'm okay. I don't feel guilty for not calling her for an entire week,
Mhm.
and not apologizing for not calling her or making excuses. I just call her every 2, 3 weeks and say, hey, how are things going? And that's it.
Mhm.
I don't know, Sabrina. I think this is me. I don't know how to do like half ass. I'm like 100% in your life, in your face, or I need to come away because I don't know how to half ass it.
Yeah, I can. I
Like
can't.
I can be your best friend,
Mhm.
and I understand friendships that you don't need to be calling all the time, but you still are there. You're present. You know your friend is still there because she checks on you.
Mhm.
She's in some one way or the other. She's there. But I know my sister, like she can go on her with her day as if I don't exist. And I know that.
Mhm.
That's why I need to like cut it. And it happened with my mom too. Like I had to cut ties with my mom for a very long time, even when she was sick, because it was very toxic.
Mhm.
It was detrimental for my mental health. Um, so I had to just stop being the giver.
Mhm. And that goes back to your opening scene, because you've been the giver all your life, and now you want to receive. You want to be the receiver, and that's your right, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been taken for granted for so long by your family, I believe. And do you I truly believe that your parents played a crucial role in how your sister acts, right? She was never being held accountable by anyone. So everything she
Mm-hmm.
does, she thinks she's right in doing so. And I have that
Yeah.
kind of person in my life too. So I can relate to you a lot. And it's a younger sister
Mm-hmm.
too. Right? And there's a wedding too. I don't know what to say. Our life just relapses. I think my life relapses with everyone I talk to. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And
and that just tells you people are just, we are product of our environment, and
are
history has shown that we repeat on the environment that we give,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Exactly. But like how I just I'm living it. I'm living it just like you. Like this happened. You were already married. Okay. I have so many questions, but I want to move into like how did this affect your relationships with your partners? Because I
It
know
didn't
being
affect my relationship with my partner. I think it gave him more reasons to be less empathetic with me. Like,
mm,
when you see somebody that is being mistreated, you kind of get used to desensitized that
mm,
you start mistreating too.
mm,
I think my husband was able to see, yeah, Christina is such a giver. She's a giver, and she can be disregarded and she doesn't mind. Like, I think narcissistic people become more narcissistic because of the people that are empathetic and givers that surround them.
yeah. I was just going to go into that. This is like typical narcissism parenting model, because I've been like reading and then reading, even the narcissistic parents have like roles into the family. They have the golden child and the black sheep, and the child that's being ignored, and those roles depends on the situation. Like one day you're the golden child, like when you were in high school, like in school, achieving everything, you're the golden child, right? The second day you don't do any the things that they want you to do, you become the black sheep that, not doing anything for the family, not participating, etc., 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 and you get casted away or isolated, right? And there's the guilt tripping and playing with your emotion as an empathic person, because impact like and the thing with it's just the victim role that they play when you try to hold them accountable. The moment you ask
Oh,
a question, you became the abuser and they're the victim. And as an empath
yeah,
person, this is just going to suck your energy. You don't know how to deal with this, right?
yeah.
And I understand that, because for me it got to the point where I can't talk anymore with the person. I need to have them at a distance and not even hold them accountable. I just run away. The
Yeah,
only way for you to overcome this is to run away, because you're
yeah.
trapped. If you open your mouth, you're trapped. If you react to anything, you're trapped. As an empath person, there are people who can put boundaries, but not someone who's a giver and an empath at the same time. An empath is going to feel all the emotions that are coming from the
Mm-hmm.
other person, and they're not going to be able to stop themselves. But when you start a relationship with a partner, so you start as a giver, and I feel like, okay, I feel like as an empath, you do attract the narcissistic
That's it.
partner, right? It's
Of course,
just how
because
it
you
works.
are overcompensating
All
and
the
they just
time.
feel good about it.
All the time. Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And they see you and they pick you and they're like, yeah, that's the right partner.
But at the same time, we want to fix that. We want to help them. We want to be there for them. We feel sorry for them.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
We take it on as a
Mhm.
project of love and compassion, and then when we say, "Hey, look at all I've done for you," you know what they say? I never asked you to do that.
Yeah. They didn't ask, they manipulated to do it. They did manipulation, right? And even if they ask for it, they will make sure to turn the roles that they never asked, and you did it by yourself, you know?
Hmm.
And in that case, cutting ties is the only option you have. Um and it's hard when it comes to family. And you know what's harder? You become the evil queen, right?
Oh, of
You
course,
become the evil queen,
you're
and no,
ungrateful.
yeah, and no one in the and especially, let's touch on this, um because I am Muslim, and in Islam, after God, it's your parents. You believe in God, you follow what God says, and then you have to respect your parents,
Hmm.
especially the mother. You can't go, no, no. So the whole community, you'll be outcasted, not just by your parents, it's just the whole community think of you like that. You don't,
Yeah.
and I honestly don't know how to get out of this. And obviously you have a culture, you have like an environment that tells you why aren't you treating your mom as so and so and so? And you mentioned there was a
Yeah,
sickness
and
too.
that happened to me too.
Yeah.
I am like the Asians, like after God is your parents, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get married, it's your husband. Your husband is the head.
Mm.
And so when I decided to separate from my husband, my parents were like, "Why? You have it so good. Like, why? Why are you more important than everybody else? Like, why are you tired when you shouldn't be tired? Like, that's your duty. You're doing it. He never asked you." So when I cut ties with my husband, my mom, I also had to leave my religion. My religion was very like divorce was not possible unless one of us committed adultery. So
Do you mind me asking the
I
religion?
actually just cut myself from everything that could have been relationship where there's accountability and authority. I had to just cut it because that accountability and that authority was the pressure that I had to be continuously giving.
Mm.
And I think it's the best thing I ever done. I stood up for myself. I left my religion. I left my partner. I left my parents emotionally,
Mm.
and I became me.
Mm.
And that when I moved to this new city where I knew no one, I was able to go to the grocery store and not worry about running into anyone, not worry about anyone saying anything about me,
Mm.
not worrying what my mom was gonna say about what the stuff I buy, not worrying about how much I was gonna spend, like being only me, that freedom
Liberating.
is like I can be me, I can buy what I want, I can go whenever I want, I can dress the way I want, I can just be me. And that's fine. That freedom I felt when I was 40 years old. Can you imagine? I still, when I go out, I still feel guilt, scary, afraid that my mom is gonna scold me for coming home late, or scold me that I'm gone out to have fun with my friends where when instead of helping her or helping my sister or studying more to become a better person in life or in my career, like I have that. And I kind of lower, like that feeling decreased a lot. So when I go out, I don't feel like I have to go home and I'm not making up 10 different narratives to tell my mom to appease her.
Mm.
Because for 40 years, I did that
Mm.
every single day. I couldn't go out. If I went out, I had to tell her. And now I don't have to. I'm only accountable to me and my children. And my children don't need, but I do have moments where I find myself creating 10 different stories to appease someone that could be upset for doing what I'm doing.
Oh, wow. That's such an inspiring story and liberating story too. To the courage you had to carry yourself from one city to another, right? And I'm assuming you have your kids with you and start over from scratch. That's require what what triggered that? The accumulation of everything happening,
Mm.
or there was
Yeah.
a moment, just accumulation.
I didn't want that for my children. I didn't want that life for my kid. My daughter, she was 12.
Mm.
I didn't want her to think like she had to be aware of everything she did so nobody caught her. Like people, the brothers and sisters of the congregation that she could run into the store, at the mall, at school, like always being aware of God is watching me or the brothers and sisters are watching me, my parents are watching me.
Mm.
So you can be yourself. Like I did not want that for my daughter. I didn't want it for me. I didn't want it for my daughter. And all that was so much scary than starting from scratch from zero, where I didn't even have a home. I didn't have a job. I only had this car that I just bought so I could come to this city.
Mm.
And
You mean?
once you made that leap that you thought it was impossible, it's fine. But I forgot to mention
Mm.
there was a thing that I did to muster up the courage of moving to this city. After I filed for a divorce, I took my kids in the car and I drove all the way north from Canada, like from British Columbia, Vancouver. I drove all the way up north to Juneau,
Mm.
which is almost Alaska.
Okay.
That was like 20, almost 28 hours drive.
Wow.
And then I made the exact same trip all the way south to Los Cabos, Mexico. Just my kids and I and my daughter's little lizard.
Okay.
My daughter's pet. Oh, the lizard pet and the fish.
Yeah.
So, and that my son was only 5 and my daughter was 7.
Okay.
And we went through the city and through the coast. We visited and this is my first story in Night Owl Nation.
Mhm.
We visited every single science museum, art museum, and then we did all the dunes throughout the coast, the West Coast. So we went up and down the West Coast.
Mm.
I had to carry my kids whenever I had to have a pee break because you can't just leave them in the car
No,
in the
you
States.
can.
It's so
Yeah.
dangerous. I needed to really plan my day. So I arrived to hotels when it's daylight and stay at the hotel because it was scary too.
Mhm.
But we did Disneyland, we did SeaWorld, we went to Alaska, we took pictures with the glaciers. Like it was a trip that took us about 5 weeks.
Wow.
And I just went for it.
Mm.
And I didn't have a lot of money, but I was able to save in what I could save. But I did that. And I thought, you know what? Even if I become homeless and I have to leave in my car with my kids, this is doable because this is exactly what I'm doing.
Mm.
And when you know you can do it, and all you need is just you and your kids, and that's all it matters in your life,
Yeah.
you just go for it. I think if I was on my own, I might not have been able to, but I think having my kids helped me because I wanted to show them, hey, guys, we can do this. And we're so close. My kids and I, we're close. Like they are not just my children. And I'm trying my best never to give them the pressure for them to be, become the adults and mature early enough
Mm.
to support me. No, they are kids and they're allowed to be children
Mhm.
and have that childhood. But we're close because we've been through so much
Together.
stuff through humor.
Pain.
And yeah.
Yeah, together. That's I don't know what to say. I'm like speechless. I feel like if I said
Yeah.
anything, I'll start crying because that's so brave of you, and you're the real definition of a mother. You
Mm.
flipped the narrative, right? Because you can't just have kids. Okay. I've always said, when people like when I have a friend in particular I don't talk to anymore, who said one time I said you can't have kids when you're not ready, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
at that time she already had a kid, and I said I just can't believe. And at that time we were like in our 20s, and I'm in my 30s now. And I've never, because my parents are divorced, I've never imagined myself getting married before the 30s and having kids because I didn't believe I'll be mature enough or even ready to raise the children, right? Because for me, having a child is a huge responsibility that
Mm-hmm.
you are going to sacrifice. You are going to put
Yeah.
yourself aside. You are going to like. There's so many things you never know how the journey is going to start and etc. And if you can't give up yourself, you know you're not going to give up yourself for the child you're bringing to the world. I'd rather not have it. I'd rather not have a child at all, or bring a child, rather than just bring a
Mm-hmm.
child and make this child an adult so soon, or like having them suffer God knows what because I was not ready. That's because I wanted to be a mother. That's just selfishness, in my opinion. That's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was telling her that, and in her opinion, it was like life progress. You go to school, high school, university, you get married, you have kids. It is what it is. You have to do it. And in my opinion, you don't, right? And I think going through what you went through, and I know I did too. I am at this moment in my life where do I want I've been the adult, the responsible one for so long that I don't know if I want to continue doing this, right? With children too. But what you did is when you had the children, instead of repeating the cycle. You broke the cycle.
Yeah.
And that's very
Yeah.
important.
I'm really breaking the cycle. That generational trauma ends with me.
Yes, you said, listen, this is what happened to me. I'm not going to let it continue to my daughter, my son, etc., etc. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
broken here, and I'm taking action. I'm not just saying, oh, I'm going to break it, I'm going to break it, because I hear people saying that and staying with the husband for, I don't know, the support, I'm not blaming them. Everyone process at their own pace, but for you, you just the mother who broke the cycle, the brave one, the one who just left and decided, I'll get into this action and I will change the narrative. And that's just mind blowing to me, to do the trip, and then from that trip to decide to go. But the trip, you said your daughter was 7 years old.
Yeah, my daughter was, let's see, I think it was 7.
Yeah.
14.
And
Yeah, 7. She was 7.
then it took you a couple of years to move out.
She was 7, and we moved here when she was 9.
9. Oh, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough planning. I'm assuming you're
Yeah,
planning, right?
yeah.
You need. I need to make this is a. I'm assuming I'm writing about you, but for real, this is a good story. You have no idea. This should be like written in a book. You should be writing a book. You should be writing a book, because I'm pretty sure there's so much details um, associated with this, right? What I'm going to ask the uncomfortable question: why did you leave him? What was going wrong?
M- he was a good guy. He was a good guy. The reason
That's
I
what I'm
left
about to
was
say.
that he was absent.
Mm,
He was an absent husband. He was an absent father. And I think that a marriage works when we move collectively as a family,
yes.
where we are involved and intertwined
Mm,
as a family. We support each other. And he was absent.
wasn't
I was doing it all. He was okay. So I need to change something. He was absent mentally and emotionally, and a lot physically, but he always made sure we had money in the bank.
there. Mm,
So compensating for having money in the bank was always the biggest reason why he could get away with things. So as a good man, as a very responsible man, he was doing that. But at the same time, the way he was making money was not honest.
mm,
There were a lot of things that I didn't know that he lied to me about, that I had people calling me and asking me stuff that I didn't know what was going on.
mm,
That he could never be transparent to me. I never knew what he was going to do. Like, he wasn't a transparent parent. I mean, a transparent person. So I often felt deceived, lied to,
mm,
and I was always trying to figure out what's really going on. What's the next? When is the shoe gonna fall? Because somebody's gonna be upset and come and knock on the door and demand things that I didn't know we even had.
mm,
So there was a compilation of a lot of things, but the main reason, because those things can be solved, right?
mm,
There is a solution for that.
mm,
Better communication, better involvement. There's a solution for that. But when he was absent as a husband and absent as a father, I knew that was not, like, that's the role. That's the biggest role he should have,
mm,
as a father and as a husband, and he wasn't playing that role. I was on my own. So I chose to be. He left a few times the house. Everything was more important than being at home.
mm,
His job, his health, his trips, his mental health. So his absence was more frequent and prolonged,
mm.
to the point that I said, "Hey, you know what? I don't think you should. I don't think you should come back."
Huh.
And he said, "Okay." There was no discussion. So I said, "Okay, so nothing is worth discussing. Nothing is worth fixing. Nothing is worth talking about it. Like, okay. And he said, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
So I said, okay, so we've been married for 12 years. We have two children in between, but, and then I knew he was already absent. He was already gone from our lives for years.
And he wasn't actively trying to fix it too. You were the one.
No,
You were
no.
the one who were, trying to see the good in him. I don't see him
Mm-hmm.
as a good person, to be honest. You said he was a good person, but me, from the person who doesn't know him, and you describing, it's not your description, because I have a father
Mm-hmm.
who's absent sometimes, and I know how it feels, you know, as a receiver of someone who's absent all
Mm-hmm.
the time. I know how it feels, and I know that we make excuses. We say, "Oh, he's absent, but he does that," right? But let's face it, a relationship, what is a relationship? You need someone for it to be a relationship. If the person is
Yeah,
not there,
exactly.
that's what you're in relationship with yourself. You're making excuses.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
are fixing things that the other person doesn't even does not actively participate. That means they don't want to be fixed, right?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I don't think, in the back of your mind, as a mother and a wife who was trying to, in my opinion, to make this work, or to have this home as stable as it could be, when you said you should leave, or and when you did not want him to leave, you say that as a suggestion to see
Mm-hmm.
how he would react, or maybe to trigger him to be scared. But you know what you got a
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
You got a person
Yeah.
who's ready to leave because they rather be absent all the time and provide for the money than being there. And
Mm,
you know
yeah.
what? It's his loss. It's his
Mm-hmm.
loss.
And he took it like candy, right? And even when I mentioned it to my parents, they also said, but he is providing for you. And if he's not there, then you have more freedom. You work less. And why wouldn't you have, that is so easy. And I said, Mom and Dad, like, should I?
No, out of relationship is when you have. Why would you have a relationship when there's no partner? Why you have a mother and a father if only a mother is needed to be there physically and emotionally and everything? You need both of them, okay? and
Yeah,
and to be honest, I would rather, as a child, know that my parents are divorced and this is the reason why my father is absent, than seeing my mother suffering and trying
exactly.
to build
Yeah.
it up, blah blah blah. And this is going to teach your daughter how to choose a partner.
Yeah.
If she saw you
Mm-hmm.
suffering in the house with an absent, she would think this is it. How would she know who's the
Mm-hmm.
right person? How does she know? How would she know, what is the healthy relationship, what is a healthy
Mm-hmm.
partner would look like,
Yeah.
right? And that's the generation trauma you're trying to break, one of the reasons,
Yeah.
right?
So for now, I want, if one was to ask me like, what is the partnership you want? I want the partner that will choose me first,
Yeah,
that is stay in the relationship for me,
yeah,
not because of logistics, not because of the kids, not because of the paperwork. I want, and it could be an ideal world, in an ideal ideology, like, things that could happen
utopia.
in fairy tales,
Yeah.
but it's my fairy tale,
And I want it to happen,
and I want it to
and
happen.
it will happen, if you
I
want to
want
believe
the
it.
person to choose me over and over and over again. I want us to have difficulties, but I want to work through it. I
Together.
want to be worth the fight, the argument, the therapy, the walks, the dinners, the laughs, the cries. I want every single moment to be worth, because we will choose each other constantly. And that's a relationship I want. And if I'm not going to have that, I already done it on my own. I'm going to continue doing it on my own, because there's a saying, like, it's better to be alone than bad company.
Yeah. And not just bad company, a bad company in which you feel alone in it. It's not just a bad
Yes,
company. What's the point?
exactly.
What is the point of being with a person and feeling alone? And it drives me crazy when someone says, when your parent says, he provide, but that's not That's not it.
I
And
heard that so much. I heard that so
it's
much. Even my
annoying.
ex mother-in-law said, "Yeah, but he works so hard to provide for you." And I go, "Yes, but I'm not married to an ATM
No, you're
machine."
not. And you know what? You can provide for yourself. I'm pretty sure you can, and
Yeah,
you will. And
exactly.
that's what
And
you're
I
do-
was able to provide for
and that's what
myself.
you're doing right now, right? That's what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, and you're doing it fine. So, that's not what is a partner for, and we need to move forward from this narrative because that's what we have in the culture. We have the person who,
Mm-hmm.
and I see it over and over and over, and um my relationship with my father was me holding him accountable 24/7. I talk to him and argue with him a lot, and I think he got it that this girl is not just gonna shut up. She's not the submissive type. She's gonna do it the way she wants to do it. And that's what I kept doing until he was convinced to have a conversation with me, to be there. And I would be like, "Where were you?" If he said, "Oh, you were in this and this and that," I was like, why didn't you teach me this? Where
Mm-hmm.
were you? That's not my job. It's your job to teach me that.
Yes.
If I don't know this now, it's because at some point in my life you didn't teach me. It's not my fault. So don't come at me. You can teach it to me now.
Mm-hmm.
You have the opportunity to do this now. Okay? But don't hold me accountable for not knowing it before, because that was your
Yeah.
job, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what we should have: communication, talking. Even if something was not done correctly in the past, we can do it now, right? But the problem
Mm-hmm.
with the culture, your culture, my culture, and I see it repeating over and over and over, it's like what has been done, it's been done. No,
Oh no.
I'm not letting it go.
It's not supposed to be like that.
No, sorry. Stay here, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes my brother says, and I love my brother, he's one of the good men. He says, let it go. You're
Oh,
resistant. Sometimes it's tiring, and it is tiring. It sucks your energy. Yeah, sometimes I do let go. But we're not supposed to let go, if we don't want to.
no. If we had let go, we will not have the rights we have.
No.
We would have just accepted it.
Yeah.
We would have not have the privileges we have. Somebody cling on to what she thought it was rightfully hers.
Mm,
Somebody cling on to what he thought it was something that he deserved to have.
mm.
Reason why we have freedom. Reason why we have what we all
You can
have the
vote.
privilege of having.
We can vote. Women can vote.
Yeah.
Because a woman
Yeah.
thought we can vote. Women are, in politics and doctors, and at some points they were not. They were just, they were property, right?
Yeah. And you shouldn't let go. If it's rightfully yours, if you deserve to be, and if it's worth for you to fight for,
Mm,
and this is what I teach my daughter, don't let go. Don't let go just so that person can be at peace.
no. Why would they should be at peace when I'm not? Sorry. I'll be there holding them accountable, you know,
Exactly.
and taking all my rights. What do you think a theme would be in your film? What's the common
The
theme?
theme of my film.
Yeah. Because there's the plot there and I can see it of you, not letting
Mm,
go. And, but answer me the theme, then I'll go back to what I have in my mind.
I don't know. The theme of my book, of my because I often think maybe I should write all this. The theme of my book is hardship. I don't think I'm a hard person. I don't think I became a bitch after all this. I don't think I lost faith in
No.
humanity and I became a bitter person. I think it softened me more. It helped me become more compassionate.
Mm,
It helped me become more respectful of others. It helped me to become more empathetic.
mm,
It made me feel more compassion.
mm,
So, life lessons. Life teaches you a lot of things, and it teaches you the most valuable lessons with the hardest ways.
yeah.
But not because of that, you need to become like a turtle. You can still have a soft shell,
Yeah.
right? Life, you can still be graceful.
Mm,
And living graceful doesn't mean that you're living a, a easy life.
mm,
I think I'm living gracefully. I People that see me, they say, "Wow, we would have never thought you went through all that." I often look like a spoiled little girl that had so much given to her in a silver plate. Like they
mm.
think when I go to networking meetings, I have people that say, "Your husband must just adore you." And when I hear that, I just cry inside.
I know.
And I go,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
So the theme is, I think I deserve it.
mm. You deserve
I
everything.
think it will be, we deserve it. We don't have to prove it, but we deserve it. I'm not sure. Let me think about it. But that's where I think whenever think about my past, I deserve. I deserve somebody to say thank you.
Mm,
I deserve somebody to say, "Hey,
mm.
you did a good job.
Yeah.
Hey,
You deserve a pat
we
on your
we we're
shoulder.
here because of you."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pat on your shoulder.
yeah.
And I give it to myself all the time if no one did. I don't forget to thank yourself too. Um, because sometimes when people don't appreciate us, especially the closest one to us, we just stuck in this loop where we too don't see the good. We don't see that we did well. We too take what we do for granted, and we forget to
Mm-hmm.
appreciate ourselves. And that's very dangerous, you know.
Yeah.
And I think for you didn't get into that, because all the time you were asking, why am I not appreciated? Why don't I deserve this, I deserve more, I deserve. And that feeling that you deserve more pushed you to make the change and made you
Mm-hmm.
see things for what they are, because you could have been living in that loophole forever, thinking
Mm-hmm.
thinking this is my role as an oldest daughter. My mom is sick, so I need to be more careful.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, my sisters is still young. But how young is young? Like 25 is not young, 30 is not young, just
She
young.
is just 18 months younger than me.
Exactly. So you moving at 40, that means she was 38 or something, like, right? That's not young. That's, you know. And I always ask myself, what was I doing when I was 10? And what was she doing when she was 10? Right? So,
Doesn't compare.
yeah, that's not, and thank God, you, because of you seeing everything coming, you deserve this, and you see yourself for who you are. You were able to see the people around you for what they are. And that's very important, because some people would be living in this cycle over and over, and that pushed you to make the change. And question.
Oh, I think I think my theme will be, it's my turn.
It's your turn. Yes. Yes, it's my turn. I love it. You know
It's
why?
my turn.
Like when you said I want to receive, I felt that, because I am in this era in my life where I was telling myself, because I was pushed, and I was, what you just said, I am compassionate, I am this, I am that. I was pushed to the point where I didn't cry a lot. I neglected my feelings as a woman, right? And when you said, I want to be loved, I want to be, I want to receive, I want to see a man for seeing, blah blah, it's just all the feelings that I have in myself right now. And when you say it's my turn, like, oh my gosh, let's manifest this. It's our turn. um what would you name your film? I have a suggestion, but I need to hear yours first.
Okay, tell me your suggestion.
I would say Christina, the brave one, because I see you as that, the brave mother, the brave gener- uh, generational trauma breaker, right? The brave one who moved, the brave one who took the car, went into that trip, you know, with no husband, with no man who was supposed to be there. Before I asked you and I said, what's wrong? I was thinking, where was he? Why did you take the kids
Mm-hmm.
alone? and went and made that trip? Why did you save the money when he was providing for the money? And it's obvious, you know, that he was absent, to me at least, when you talked about
Mhm.
the trip, because
Yeah.
um I know men who are not absent and who wouldn't let their wife and kids go into that, because
Right?
not
He was supposed to say, "Don't do that. It's so
it's not
dangerous."
just dangerous, it's
He's
not,
like, "Come."
let's forget about it being dangerous. It was the safest thing to do. That husband would want to be there to enjoy the experience with his family, right?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
cancel on work meetings. Men cancel on work meetings, cancel on some like extra money to spend some time with their daughter because they want to be there when she walks, when
Yeah.
she does, when blah blah blah. So the good men who are there, who are present, are out there, right? I believe in that. So when you say,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just an occurring name to me in every step. When you're talking, you're the brave one. You're the brave one because you stayed. You're the brave one because you saw everything that's happening and you still had hope in fixing everything with your husband, with your mother, with your sister. You know what I mean? And that's I just see that in you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We still have to choose your own name. I can put this, but you still have to choose a name.
I will.
You will. Not today.
Not today.
Okay, no problem. Um, would you change your opening scene after this talk?
No.
No, I'll still be the one. You sitting there
Mhm.
receiving everything.
Yeah, I'm just sitting in a nice armchair
Mm-hmm.
and receiving.
Receiving. Love, receiving.
Yeah.
What else? I want to hear it again. You want to receive love?
Just receiving people sitting beside me and listening to my stories.
Hmm.
Uh, Girls, teenage girls, mothers, listening,
Mm.
especially Asian mothers,
Hmm.
Asian women, asking questions and just listening. Because I often think, like, what would my sister think? What would my father think? And they always thought, like, she's the odd one out. Like, what is wrong with her? Why does she have to do that? Like, why do you have to do that? This is the question I always get. And I know that means, why are you not continuing with what everybody did? Everybody just went through it. Like, why are you so fussy about it? Why do you have to like want your husband to choose you? Isn't it good that your husband is choosing, his job so you don't go hungry? He's choosing, his kids before you because that means he's a good father. No, because I also matter.
Hmm. You matter a lot.
So I want women to know that you are you before you're a daughter, a sister, a wife, a child. And the happy you are, the content you are, the happier daughter, happier wife, happier mother you are. The more doubt you have about yourself, the more discontentment that you have, the more resentment you have as a you
Hmm.
of who you are, the more difficult each role is.
Hmm.
So if you need to change who you are because where you are is so shitty, change where you are so you can be you. So your who doesn't feel betrayed.
Mm-hmm. So you don't betray yourself.
Because at the end of the day, it's just me with me.
Mm.
It's me with me, me against me. Nobody's going to be there comforting me in my deathbed. Nobody's going to be there crying with me at night when I feel lonely. It's me with me or against me. Then I need to be happy with myself.
Hmm.
It's not about giving everything to your daughter and being, giving a legacy to your daughter. Yes, that's true. But you can't give a legacy to your daughter if you're not you.
Hmm.
If you can be happy with who you are.
Yes.
The biggest legacy I can leave to my daughters is that mom chose herself so she could be a good
Mother.
everything
Mm.
to everyone.
To everyone.
And she chose herself first, because that way we can be good to everybody. We can be good to other ones. And even if we are, we're faking it.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Yeah. And that's why you're the brave
and
one.
yeah, I'm happy in my own skin. I think this is why I very rarely have imposter syndrome and confident issues, because I've been telling it to myself that how good I am on my own to myself, because no one else did.
But I'm here to tell you, you're the good one. You're the brave one. You're the beautiful one. I love you just by talking to you. You like
Yeah.
you just said a lot of things that I have inside of me that I didn't even say to myself. I didn't tell myself that I want it to be my turn. But when you said it, I had an aha moment. You know what I mean? Everything you just said.
It's your turn to
Yeah.
just say it and receive.
Everything you just said. And the question that everyone is asking you is because they chose the easy way. They chose to continue the trauma. They chose to, and you chose to break it. You know,
Yeah.
you're the one who chose to take the hard way, the path that has less steps or whatever we see on Instagram all the time. You know, people going this way and there's a path that no one goes into. You chose that,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone just didn't want you to excel because
Yeah.
they were cowards and they stayed where they are, and you
Yeah. And it's
refused.
uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to be the odd one out.
It's very
So,
uncomfortable, but you know, it's better to be uncomfortable than losing yourself, right?
yeah.
So I am gonna choose the brave one for you, the brave
Thank
uncomfortable one.
you.
And I love this so much. You just opened so many ideas in my head, and you know, had so many like aha moments, and just a lot of
Oh,
things had happened to my mind when I talk to you. And I just want you to know everything you do matter, right? Everything you do has is going to inspire people, and I see you sitting with people listening to you. I don't know what it will be. It'll be a TEDx, but it will be like a show, okay, in which like people you're inspiring, you know, your community and many other communities, because this is a cycle that's happening in not in Asian community alone, like all Middle East, Arabs, Africans, you name it, you know, you name it. So I see you going. I see this happening to you. I see the opening scene happening to you. And you
thank
know,
you.
if I ever become a successful screenwriter, you know, I'll write your story because it deserves
Ah,
to be made
thank
into a
you.
film. Yeah, especially that trip
Thank you.
inspired me so much to take your kids and go. And that's my takeaway. Thank you so much for being honest, not just going through,
Thank you.
but coming here and talking about it. That's honesty, bravery, you know,
Thank you.
blown away. Thank you, Christina. And I'm just going to end this by saying thank you
Okay.
all for listening and for watching. And thank you, Christina, for being here. Until I see you again
Thank
for the Lemon Narrative.